out after, I think it was Monday's class, maybe it was Wednesday, when we kind of like had a game plan, and I pulled up a little bit of the previous email and provided like a little bit more detail and for our poster, which I started thinking about. So I don't know the presentation that we have to make.
Oh, that's why I actually tried to do it.
Because there were some responses to it.
So how's everybody? Good?
I'm a little confused on what we have classes.
What?
I'm a little confused on what we have classes. Like, my shop's closed today. I figured tap college closed.
That is a decision that's above my pay grade. The calendar says we have class, ergo we have class. Yes?
So there is allotted one Tuesday, Thursday holiday and one Monday, Wednesday, Friday holiday per semester.
Got it.
So,
and Cesar Chavez is our Monday, Wednesday, Friday holiday.
Yeah, and then there's a Friday, or there's a Thursday one, I don't know, later on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool, there you go. We have one Monday, Wednesday, Friday holiday per semester. And
They picked the Friday one?
huh?
Isn't it a Friday class?
I think it's Cesar Chavez is a Monday holiday. Is it?
So they picked the one.
Oh yeah, you're right. It is. It is a Friday holiday. So yeah, that's why.
That's a horrible thing to do.
No.
I'm sorry.
No, I was looking at my shop's closed. Like, I wonder if I have class. And my buddy's going to TAP and trying to BC. Like, we don't. I was like, we do either.
Yeah, unfortunately we do. I'm sorry. So quickly before I get into the lecture, I'm still missing a few professional development plans. So Jose Gonzalez, I still need your professional development plan. Okay? Can you send it soon? Okay. Saleh Al-Shnifi. Yeah? Okay. Fahad Al-Mutairi. Are you here, Fahad? Don't see Fahad. And Faisal Al-Suraya. I don't see Faisal either. Joseph Cobarrubias. No Joseph. Jose's here. I keep confusing you with Joseph, man. It's okay. And Lise, I still need your professional development plan, okay?
Okay, good. Where would I find out what that plan is?
It's El Mugema, right?
Yes.
I'm going to email it to you right now.
Thank you so much.
No problem.
Oh, shoot. I'm going to fall on the one there.
Okay, I said I'm going to send it now. I'm going to send it later. It's in my outbox, but I'm not connected to the internet right now, okay? It'll get sent after this class. Okay, so last week we talked about web development. That's the first and in some ways most important skill set that I want everybody in here to develop for small business management. We're going to do some more work on those websites this week. But next topic after the website is put together is customer acquisition and guerrilla marketing. So how to reach out to customers, how to start to develop a market for your product once you have that website up and running. So that's what we'll go over today, and then Wednesday we'll actually have an exercise on Wednesday on customer development or customer acquisition, and then that exercise will probably not take the whole class period. So with the rest of the class period, we'll keep working on the websites, and then Friday we'll work on the website some more and/or customer acquisition, depending on where the projects are at. So that's kind of what this week is going to look like. So the big picture, Omar, hey. The big picture in words of what I want to talk about today, our overall goal is to acquire customers and bring in revenue. There's several different activities that support that overall goal that I'm going to talk about. And a lot of them fit together either hierarchically or in a hub and spoke kind of way. So the major activities that I'm going to talk about: identifying the product or service. That's really what we're doing with the website already. Getting initial feedback from friends and associates. That's what we're going to be doing an exercise on this week. After you've got that initial feedback from friends and associates, you're going to identify market segments and do initial market sizing. That's going to be a homework assignment that you do after we've completed the initial outreach. And then not a homework assignment for this class, but a skill set that I want you to learn, we're going to talk about today, is identifying competitors and determining your positioning, designing and implementing an actual guerrilla marketing campaign, and tracking customer acquisition in a pipeline. So that's, in words, what I want to talk about today. As you may remember from the graphic design lecture, this is what all of that actually looks like visually. So we're going to start by determining a marketing message and materials, which is basically what you're doing with the website right now. As soon as you've got the website together, the team, each of your groups, is going to reach out and talk to some friends and associates doing initial word-of-mouth outreach. From that information, you're going to develop customer vignettes and market sizing estimates and competitive positioning maps, all of those good things. From there, you actually design and implement various stages of the guerrilla marketing campaign, and finally, all of the information that is gathered from that campaign is funneled into a database where you track information about potential customers. So that's, graphically, this is the guerrilla marketing process. So identifying the product or service. These are the things that I want you guys to be doing with your website. So we talked about the websites a little bit this week. The reason that the website is so important is because we need to have these elements of the website ready to be able to present to friends and associates for your initial marketing outreach. So what is the specific product or service that you're offering? So we need to be specific in the website about what is the product or service, and the website needs to be clear about what it is. What image do you want to portray for the product or service? You need to think in the website about the image that you're giving to your company and to the product and service that you're offering. What do people need to know about it? There's principal features and benefits. We need to have bullet points and descriptions of the product or service. So all of this information needs to be in your website. Eventually, we're going to take some of the materials from that website and move them over to social media as well. But everything starts with getting that website up and looking good. So these are the 4 elements that I need you to have in your website. What exactly the product or service is, an image surrounding that product or service, and details talking about the product's features and the product's benefits. What does it do? How does it work? What do people need to know about it? Initial feedback from friends and associates. There's 3 main ways that we go about doing that. You can reach out on social media and have them fill out a survey link. So I can show you how to put together surveys. But what I want you to do in the context of this class is phone and text and in-person outreach. So I want you to actually talk to people, and you're going to fill out a customer vignette template that I have ready for you in these slides here. So the customer vignette, what do we need to know about what do we need to know from your friends and associates, the initial customer outreach? Well, first of all, we need to know, are they consumers? Are they individual people that are going to be using your product, or are they businesses? So that's the first question to answer. They could be customers, they could be consumers, or they could be influencers as well. So they may not be a direct customer of your product, but they may influence people's opinion about that product. And then finally, we need to know what different segments there are. So are there different industries or different demographic types? So men and women, or older people and younger people, or higher income and lower income and middle income. What are the different segments of customers that we need to think about? And then most importantly, these are the 7 things that I want to know from that initial outreach that you do. I want you to ask people how often they would purchase the product or service that you're offering, about what price they would pay for that. Very importantly, what advertising media would they use? So if you did not call them or email them and tell them about your business, how would they have found your business? Would they have done a Google search? Would they have asked their friends and contacts for a word-of-mouth referral? If they had received a brochure in the mail from your company, would they have responded to that? What advertising media are they actually paying attention to when they're looking for your product or service? What competitors do they use right now? So if they don't use your company, what do they currently use to do irrigation technology, or to do data collection for agriculture? How do they do that right now? In the case of the substance use facility, your customer is difficult to, because the money that you get is actually coming from the state. Ish?
Well, we're private, so it's coming from insurance companies, but
Well,
the main thing that when we were talking about, like interviewing customers, was we rely heavily on referrals for doctors' offices, specifically pain management doctors, and so that's kind of where we were at, is saying, like, what are you seeing the most of? How can this be beneficial? What are you looking for when you're trying to make a referral for your patient?
Yep.
So.
but my point, you've already figured out. The money is coming from the insurance company and from indirectly from referrals that are made by doctors. The individual patients served are usually not the ones that are paying out of pocket.
Right.
So your customer, as it were, is the insurance company and the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
So in that case, you know, what other facilities are they referring people to? What other substance use providers are there that insurance companies are using right now for this service?
Right.
So demographics, if it's a customer, if it's an individual consumer, I want to know things like how old are they, what is their income level, what is their occupation, are they male or female, where do they live, where do they work. If it's a business, I want to know what is the industry code of that business, how big are they in terms of revenues or employees, and where is the business located. So demographic information that we need to know. And then I also want to know just general impressions that people have of the product or service. What do they think after they look at the website, after they hear your description of the company? What is their initial reaction? And then finally, should they be included on a mailing list for future business? So your initial idea, your initial goal is just to get some feedback about the company. But some of the people you talk to may actually be interested in being customers in the future. If they are interested in being customers, you want to make sure to keep them in the loop as you actually roll out your product or service. So this is an example of the customer vignette filled out for a project my students did last semester and the semester before for the Bakersfield Condors. And we filled out the example based on me as a customer of the Bakersfield Condors. So these are the kinds of answers I want you to have for your customer vignette if you're looking at an individual consumer. So my purchase frequency, I'm a season ticket holder with a 6-game package. And in general, I usually go out for entertainment a couple times per month. Price point, I believe I paid $300 for a 6-game package, and whenever I go out for entertainment, and entertainment is the broader product here. The Bakersfield Condors are one form of entertainment among various things that I spend my entertainment money on. So in general, I usually spend $100 to $200 a night if I go out for entertainment. So advertising media that I pay attention to for entertainment, I certainly listen to word-of-mouth referrals from friends of mine. That's probably the most important source of information. I also will Google things and look up types of entertainment if I'm looking for something to do, in particular in Bakersfield or in Kern County. I will look at Yelp descriptions. If I get an email from Groupon or from a company or a bar or a restaurant, I will look at those, and I'll also pay attention to posters and brochures that I see around town. So those are the advertising media that I would pay attention to, or that I would go and look at if I were looking for entertainment to pursue in Bakersfield. Competitors, if I'm not going to a Condors game, I'm usually going to either a local bar or restaurant or to listen to live music. Demographics, I'm now 45 instead of 44 because this was done last year. But I'm still single and I still don't have any kids. I earn about $110 a year. I'm a college professor. I live in Westchester and I work here at CSUB. Those are the demographic factors that you would want to know if you were interviewing me as one of your potential customers. General impressions that I have about the Condors, it's a lot of fun. It's a kind of cozy and small town feeling, but it's still connected to the NHL and exciting in that way. And Yes, I am interested in future Condors events. I'm a season ticket holder, so I'm kind of already on their mailing list. But yes, I'm interested in getting all kinds of information in the future. So, this is the exercise that you're going to do this week. I want you to identify potential customers that you could talk to, reach out, email them, and or talk to them on the phone, and fill out these questions for your business. After you've done all that, the next thing to do is market sizing. So after you've determined the answers from your target customers, from the initial friends and associates outreach, you're going to calculate how big is your potential market. In order to do that, first of all, you need to determine a geographic scope, whether it's local here in Kern County, state of California, or national. You're going to take the target demographic information that you gathered in the customer profile and apply it to this calculation, and you're going to make some assumptions and document those assumptions. And I'm going to talk about how to document those assumptions here next. So there's 3 different types of assumptions that you make when you're doing market sizing. The first is assumptions based on hard data. And hard data is information that you can find, numbers, concrete information that you can find either out on the internet or in a database or book of some kind. It's concrete numbers. Assumptions based on anecdotal evidence are basically things that you know from your personal experience or that target customers that you've interviewed have told you about how often they purchase or what the purchase price is. Those are anecdotal evidence. So it's based on reality, but it's not based on an official report of some kind. It's based on personal knowledge or information. And then finally, assumptions based on educated guesses. Sometimes you just need to ballpark estimates, especially about how big your market share is going to be. And a lot of times that ballpark estimate of market share is based on how many competitors you can think of off the top of your head, and just divide the 100% of the market by the number of competitors, and that's a realistic estimate of what percentage of the market you might be able to get. So finding hard data when doing market sizing. Macro level economic data that you can get in particular from the Census Bureau, which is what we're going to use as a data source, is rarely exactly what you want. You have to take what you can get. So a lot of times you might be able to find information about how many people there are age 40 to 50, or you might be able to find out how many people there are that earn over $100,000 a year. You might be able to find out how many professors or education professionals there are, but you can't find all 3 in the same report. So you're going to have to just take the reports that you can get. Look for common demographic categories. This is why I said that for customers or for individual consumers, you want to know age, income level, occupation, gender, marital status, where they live, where they work. Those are all common demographic factors that it's relatively easy to find information for in the Census Bureau's databases. For companies, you want to know the industry they're in and the NAICS code that is associated with that industry. You want to know how big they are, and you want to know where they're located. So common demographic categories, that's why we're focusing on those, because we can actually find data about those in the Census Bureau's databases. And then finally, you're going to have to adjust your macro level assumptions based on the data that you can get. So if you find information about all males from 40 to 50 in the state of California, you're going to have to make some estimates on how many of those are actually in Bakersfield or in Kern County. And if you can't find that information on the Census Bureau, you're going to have to adjust your overall number based on a smaller figure. So, there we go. I thought I had gone too far. So this is, this was, yes.
Are the PowerPoints online?
Yes, the PowerPoint is on in Blackboard under the course documents section.
What's it called? Because I've been trying to find it for probably like 10 months.
It's called, it should be called Customer Acquisition Guerrilla Marketing.
So it's the Guerilla Marketing one. Okay,
Yes.
The one that I was like, oh, it's definitely not that one. That's the one.
No, that's the one it is. The one you thought it definitely wasn't.
All right, cool.
So, as of last semester, this was a two-pronged way to find the data that you need for either consumers or for businesses using the Census Bureau's databases. The Census Bureau, whenever I've determined the correct resource on the Census Bureau's database, they always change where it is on the website. So now everything is actually going to be found through American Fact Finder. This censtats.census.gov used to be a separate database. It has now been combined with American Fact Finder. So long story short, for all of your market sizing, you're going to go to American Fact Finder, and if you just open up the PowerPoint slides, you can click on the link that I provided there, and it'll take you right where you need to go. So, first of all, you're going to want to choose Advanced Search and Show Me All. And then you can narrow down your search based on certain topics here. So geographically, you could narrow it down to the state of California, for example. If we're looking for age groups or age and sex, you can click here. If we also want to know employment status, you can click here. And if you also want to know information about income and earnings for either households or individuals, you can click here. Once you are done selecting the type of information you want, you close the search window and open up the relevant database, which is contained. The relevant database, which is contained on the list there, and you'll see this gives you information about all individuals of different age groups in the state of California. It gives you information on how many are male and female, household and relationship status, marital status. It'll give you information on their occupation, on the industry that they work in, all kinds of different information that you can then use for your market sizing estimates. If you are looking for information on businesses rather than individuals, we can clear the selections, and we still want, maybe we'll do Kern County this time, so all counties within the no, California, Kern County. And then we want to find certain businesses that are in a certain industry code. So if we go back to the PowerPoints again, this is an example of how I want you to do a market sizing if you were doing it for a consumer. So up at the top there, you explain what the product or service is. In the case of this example, it's single game tickets to Condors games. The location is Kern County. The demographics that we got from that interview with me were age 40 to 50 and income level of above $100,000 a year. So based on that information, you go out and find the information in the Census Bureau database, footnote where you found it, then add the assumption about how much I spend based on what the interview said, and then make a ballpark assumption about market share. So something less than 100%, something well less than 100%. So 10% is always a nice ballpark number to be conservative about your market share estimates. Multiply all those things together, you get what you want. If we look here at another example, if we were looking at businesses for the Condors instead, we want to look at people who might want to advertise with the Condors. So again, this is Kern County, but we're looking maybe at clothing accessory stores, and how many of those, how many of clothing accessory stores are there in Kern County that we might be able to approach about doing advertising in the Condors billboards and in their program that they sell at the games. So clothing accessory stores have an NAICS code attached to them, just like any kind of industry. And in this case, it's 448150. In order to find that number, you would want to go to NAICS.com. And click on Find Your NAICS Code. And then just, if you didn't know what the code was, you would type in clothing accessory and hit enter. Too specific. So I'm going to type in clothing, and you see all these different codes: fabric coating mills, doll, toy, and game manufacturing. If we keep going down, clothing accessory stores, you'll see 448150. So if we were then going to go and look for that code, we would just type into the search box here, 448150, clothing accessory stores, go. That gives us what we want there, and we add that to our search results. And then if we close the search window and open up the database that's available here to us, Geographic County Business Patterns, you'll see, according to the Census Bureau, there are 10 clothing accessory stores. Now, this is not women's clothing or men's clothing or children's clothing. This is just specifically clothing accessory stores in Kern County. According to the Census Bureau, there are 10. Last time I checked, there were 7, so there's 3 more that have popped up since the last time I did this exercise. So if you were filling out the rest of this, you would then take that 10 clothing accessory stores and put it under hard data assumptions. The anecdotal assumption, if you had interviewed businesses and found out how much they normally pay for advertising. You might find out that $500 is what they would pay for the audience that they could be exposed to through the Condors. And since the Condors, since there's only 10 establishments and the Condors are trying to find a couple, then maybe we estimate a little bit higher and say 50% market share. So you're going to then multiply those things together and come up with an overall size estimate for the market. So once you've done your market sizing, you'll have an idea of markets for your products and services that are bigger and ones that are smaller. For the ones that are bigger and more attractive, you then want to update your website and your social media pages based on the input you've got from the target customers. So anything they said about the features and benefits that they like about the product, price point, their general impressions of the website, whatever people have to say about the website that you've created, you want to go back in and edit the website to address whatever input you've gotten from your friends and associates. And then you need to decide what promotion you're offering. So there needs to be some kind of call to action when you do a guerrilla marketing campaign. Could be that you're offering a special price for a certain number of days. It could be that you're offering a free giveaway of some kind. Usually you need to have some kind of promotion to get people to act within a certain time frame. You need to know what price you're focusing on. You need to know which advertising channels you're going to use based on what the interviewees said about what kind of advertising channels they use. And you need to have realistic customer acquisition goals. So think about how many people you can reach out to, how big the market is, how big your market share potentially could be, and then think about how am I actually going to reach out and find these people. If I'm sending emails have a pretty low response rate, so maybe 1% or 5% of however many emails I send will actually get a response. So based on those numbers, you need to set realistic goals for how many customers you're going to bring in, and then make sure you are prepared to track information about target customers as they start to respond to your guerrilla campaign. So the main guerrilla marketing channels are word of mouth, online, offline, and event marketing. Word of mouth can be practically free and extremely effective. It usually requires that you have some kind of champion that's an opinion leader that's disseminating the word of mouth within your target groups. Online can be very focused and very cost effective. It usually requires that you know the exact platform profile of your target customer. So you have to know what internet pages they use, where they usually go to find information when they're online. If you know that profile really well, online marketing can be very effective. Offline marketing can be very cost effective as well. Brochures and business cards and flyers and things like that. It's usually best done in combination with a word-of-mouth campaign, though. So if you have a champion who's telling people about your product or service, giving them flyers that they can give people, or putting flyers in a certain place and having one person make sure to get out the word that they're there, will increase your odds of success with offline marketing. And then finally, event marketing can range from a couple $100s to tens of thousands. It's a great way to get face-to-face interaction with customers and really give a robust demonstration of your products. It also gives you a dynamic opportunity to create your image for your company. So event marketing is probably the most expensive of those four, but compared to mainstream advertising media, it's still very cost effective. So I want to talk just a second about mainstream marketing.
So outdoor basically means billboards, billboards and posters and things like that. Radio, print, and television. They all can be very effective advertising media. Does anybody know what the term CPM stands for? Anybody heard of it? Cost per mil, actually. It's cost per 1,000 eyeballs. So CPM is basically the cost that you pay for 1,000 people to see your advertising message. So outdoor, radio, TV, it's pretty cheap. The problem with all of these is how the question you have to ask yourself is, what is the price of what you're selling? How many people are going to purchase for a certain CPM rate, and how many purchasers become repeat customers? The problem with mainstream media is you can't just buy 1,000 eyeballs. You have to buy whatever it is that TV station or that magazine or that billboard is offering, and it usually comes in the tens or the hundreds of thousands. So you can't just buy $2 worth of eyeballs. You have to buy $2,000 worth of eyeballs at once. So the problem with mainstream media is that the number of eyeballs that are available, you have to buy in bulk, and most small businesses can't afford to spend that much money. So the unit price of buying advertising in mainstream media is usually too high for small businesses. But if you can afford it, it is quite cost effective, and they're good media to use to reach out to customers. It's just more expensive. So word of mouth channels for guerrilla marketing. There's social media, text, phone, and in person. Each of those basically comes with a certain snippet message, which is specifically identified out of the rest of your web materials. Online guerrilla marketing channels. Google AdWords, search engine optimization, Groupon, Yelp, YellowPages.com, blog postings, email blasts, and banner ads are just some of the examples of what you can do with online advertising. Offline usually involves either posters, brochures, or what I like to call other. So business cards, little pens that have the name of your company on them, matchboxes, things like that. Giveaway items. And then events. There's kind of three types of event marketing: street teams, promotional events, and conventions and trade shows. Street teams are basically a group of individuals who will just go out into a crowd of your target customers and present stuff. Many of you may be familiar with the fact that certain companies sometimes send representatives to bars to hand out free stuff. That's an example of a street team. Promotional marketing would be setting up an event where you're going to do a product demo and inviting people, kind of like a Tupperware party. And then conventions and trade shows are what they sound like. That's actually going to a convention for a certain product or a certain group of potential customers, setting up a booth and demonstrating in that way. I've listed a lot of potential information about word of mouth and online platforms here for your benefit. There's several pages of these tables. It starts out with the type of platform: website, Google AdWords, banner advertising, blast emails, blogs, etc. And what I've put in there is some very rough ballpark estimates of the cost of each of these platforms. These costs change all the time, so it's just ballpark based on about a year ago. And I've also added some useful apps that you can use to make your website better. So Website Grader, for example, kind of rates your performance of your website in terms of what it thinks is going to be the response from the marketplace, and gives you some tools to make the website more findable by people. Google AdWords, the Google XML sitemap, helps Google to index blog postings and other elements of your website better. And then I've given you for each of these just a general description and some overall information about that particular platform. So we've got websites, Google AdWords, banners, blast emails, blog postings, Facebook, LinkedIn, Pinterest and Instagram, Google+, Twitter. I've given you some basic information on all of the major word of mouth and online platforms. So that is more reference information than it is for your projects. Some of your projects, if we really make good progress, we'll do a guerrilla marketing campaign in this class. If you don't get the website looking good, if you don't get your outreach done and talk to friends and associates and fill out your customer vignettes, then we can't do a guerrilla marketing campaign. So the sooner you get the website looking good, the sooner that you reach out to potential customer input, the sooner we might be able to do a guerrilla marketing campaign. And if and when we do that for your project, then we'll use those various categories of word of mouth and online platforms more. Couple of words about search engine optimization. Once you have a basic online marketing portfolio together, you can maximize the frequency and salience that potential customers find when they find your information by there's basically a lot of different factors such as text, media, embedded data features, how many other websites point to your website. There's various factors that Google and Bing use to calculate who pops up at the top of search results. And there's a number of vendors out there. You can actually do a lot by yourself just by using Google's Webmaster and Bing's Webmaster tools. And then there's various software vendors who will, for a price, help you to optimize your website as well. So I've listed some of those tools here, ranging from the free ones that you get from Google and Bing all the way up to $1,000 a month for somebody like SEOP. And I've given you a little bit of information about those vendors here. Finally, you need a database of one kind or another to track information on your potential customers as you're doing a guerrilla marketing campaign. I've used Outlook in the past. I've used Access from Microsoft. I've used Excel. But there's also some good vendors, Salesforce, NetSuite, and MyDials, which all are good software for tracking information on potential customers as they come in. Acquiring customers, the rule of 10 we've talked about in the context of your career networking. It's basically the same concept that you're going to need to reach out to 10 prospects for every one lead and 10 leads for every one real potential customer. So when you're doing guerrilla marketing, you probably need to send out 100 messages in order to get one new customer. The rest of this is basically the same as what I talked about when I talked about your career networking. And then finally, I've included some information here at the back for those of you who are interested in personal selling. Like if you only have one slide to talk about the art and science of sales, I've summarized it for you here in one slide. These are some great resources for personal selling that I've included in the lecture as well. That actually brings us to 11:51. I actually went overtime this time, so I will see you all on Wednesday, and we will do an exercise on customer acquisition, and then we'll work on the website some more as well.